Today on Game Changers, we're here with Jay McNeil from the Calgary Stampeder Football Club. We are talking about leadership skills and the price to be great. Let's get into it. Welcome to Game Changers, where winning isn't just about score. It's about invaluable lessons learned along the way. Join me, Robin Finley, as we delve into the parallels between sports and business. Remember, we never lose. We either win or we learn. Hi, we're here today for another exciting episode of Game Changers. I've got with me today Jay McNeil, president of the Calgary Stampeders Football Club. Today we're going to be talking about leadership skills. We're going to get right after it, jump into our very first question. So first question right now is, Jay, what are the strategies for building teams and culture? Your strategies.
Yeah, great question. And first, thanks for having me. When thinking about a team and what you're trying to accomplish as your goals is, so I think having a clear vision and one that everybody you can state, that one that everybody understands, this is what we're trying to accomplish as a group, right? And then you can boil it down to the individuals and how their roles play a part in achieving those goals. So creating that vision, creating that inspiration, and then being clear and articulate on how we're going to achieve those goals. And so when you are when you talk, hey, let's face it, the difference between good and great is really quite small. But there's a price to be paid to be great, and most people aren't willing to pay that price. And so if you can get a group that is willing to pay that price to be great and show them how that's going to achieve their goals, teams can accomplish anything.
In your experience, like you've done this in business and in sport, do you have any special skills that you've used in order to share that vision? Like I know in sport, I love the sayings. I love the cheesy sayings.
Yeah.
Everything is earned. All those kind of things. Or do you have any of those kind of tools in your toolbox that you use?
I love motivational videos and sayings and all that. So the one I use consistently is the U.S. Navy SEALs, and they talk. This is about the value of hard work, and one of their sayings is the only easy day was yesterday. Like that one just sticks with me, right? And it's talking. Hey, yesterday is gone. It's done. Today we got to work hard. Tomorrow we got to work hard.
Well, I love what you said too about the difference between good and great too. I mean, there's a book about that, but there's also books like Atomic Habits, like how one little small incremental improvement can take you to the next level.
Absolutely.
And you do that a bunch of different times. So that's a really important one to point out. So on to our next question. If you had 1 to 3 leadership lessons to pass on, what would they be?
Well, I think, the first and foremost, and I think most people intuitively know this, but you got to lead by example. You can't ask your team to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. And so, every opportunity you can to get to demonstrate that, whether it's digging in to shovel the snow off the sidewalk or whatever it may be, they need to see that you're willing to do there and be there with them in the trenches. And so I think teams really buy into that. I know I do when I'm a teammate and your CEO's there doing something with you. So that's pretty fantastic. Communication is a big piece. And I think two-way communication, right? So it is not a dictatorship. Really, if somebody has a great idea, let's talk about it, and maybe that's going to help us, achieve our goals faster. So I think open and honest communication amongst the team is good, and then also that vision, right? Creating that vision of where we want to go as a team, and how we're going to get there, and then how. If we don't do it as a team, what are the consequences? And so, it's not everybody's played sports before, so they may not understand that team dynamic and how we get there. And, when you think about the corporate world, not everybody's there for the same reason, and that's okay, right? Like some people, are married and have kids and they want to be there. So you just have to figure out, what it is that motivates everybody and how you buy into that team.
Well, I dig a little more into the communication. I was thinking about, you're in the business of sports, so I think is a really special and unique situation. I was thinking, how do you connect with the younger players now? But I remember you're not necessarily leading the players. You got a coach for that, right? Because that's the other challenge. So even though within your workplace, so within the office environment, are you encountering, we've got the different generations, and you got enough gray hair, you're similar to me, right? So certain era. How have you found it adjusting to communicating with different personality types?
Well, it's interesting because the business of sports generally, has a lot of young people working in it.
Sure.
Whether it's in the office or with the team. And so you really have to try to do your best to relate, to that group. And it's, like you said, I have a little bit of gray hair. I've got a lot of gray hair. But, again, it's about, that leading by example. So,
Right.
and being there in the trenches with them and doing some of the stuff with them and showing that you care, right? You care about the team's performance, but you also care about the individual and their growth and their help them to get them achieve their personal goals as well.
Yeah, I've talked about that in other episodes about a little bit of vulnerability and showing that you care. I think that goes a long way. And of course, we shouldn't downplay. You had an extensive career in the energy industry, so you've dealt with all kinds of different personality types there. So I'm sure you're pretty well versed in that. So we'll head on to our next biggest question. Well, we all know that successes always come. There's always some failures along the way before you get to your successes. So what was one of your biggest? Maybe there aren't that many, but one of your leadership fails.
No, I've had my share of them. There's no doubt about it. And the one that comes to mind though is, so I'd been a captain while I played football, and I had joined the energy industry as a salesperson, and then I got promoted to a sales manager for the first time, and I thought, okay, I understand leadership. Having been a captain, at every level I played in football, this was going to be an easy transition, and it wasn't an easy transition, and I had struggled through it. And one thing I just couldn't understand is, why are people not buying into what we're trying to accomplish? And what I realized was I didn't communicate expectations. I expected, and don't get me wrong, I expected a great deal from our team, but they had no idea what those expectations were. So they were doing what they thought was the right way to go. And so, I remember when I left that position thinking, I'll never make that mistake again, because it's a hard, they're trying to figure it out as well, right? And so I set the whole team up for failure on that one.
I think that's a common one that a lot of athletes, obviously I never played, I played some pretty reasonably high level sports, not a professional level like you, but you think the same thing. You think that everyone has the same drive. Why aren't we just here to do our best job all the time?
Yep.
And yeah, sharing that, setting out the expectations is huge, even if it's just like a little coaching meeting or things like that. So
Totally.
Well, that's all our topics for today in terms of leadership. So we'll wrap up today. Jay, can you tell them where they can find you? On LinkedIn, Instagram, any of those fancy things?
Yeah, absolutely. The easiest way to get a hold of me is through email. Letter J, MCNEIL @stampeders.com.
That wraps up today's episode here with Jay McNeil. We'll be back next time for our next episode talking about sports and leadership. We'll see you then. As we wrap another empowering episode of Game Changers, join me, Robin Finley, next time as we continue to unlock the secrets of success through sports and business. Remember, whether you win or learn, every moment is an opportunity.